94. Partly cloudy, 95 on Sunday, dropping it off to 83, but a chance for showers and wind Monday afternoon. From the KSL Weather Center, I'm Matt Johnson.
And right now it's sunny and 79 degrees in downtown Salt Lake City. 7-day forecast is brought to you by Performance Automotive Bountiful. Markets loving the news from the president that he is putting a hold on EU tariffs. The Dow right now up by more than 700 points. Complete update of your money news is coming up next.
It's been a long winter. Mud, salt, snow, and all that indoor living. Your carpets have taken a beating, and spring is a perfect time to freshen up your home from the ground up. At True Rinse Carpet Cleaning, we've been helping Utah families for over 20 years with expert carpet, tile, and upholstery cleaning. Our natural cleaning solution is safe for kids and pets, tough on dirt, and it works. Best part, our quick dry times mean you can get back to living fast. So before you tackle the yard or fire up the grill, start your spring cleaning with clean carpets that look, feel, and smell amazing. Call True Rinse today or book online and get a spring into savings offer. Get 3 areas clean for just $119. Perfect for those rooms your family uses the most. Find out more at TrueRinse.com. Experience the difference of a deep, effective, natural clean. True Rinse. It's not just clean, it's truly clean. Visit us at TrueRinse.com. That's TrueRinse.com.
Common Spirit Health has expert orthopedic care that gets you back at it and back to your best. Find skilled orthopedic physicians at Common Spirit locations who specialize in general orthopedics and repair of hips, knees, shoulders, and hands, so you can return to running races or chasing the grandkids. Common Spirit Health. Hospitals, clinics, and caregivers all connected to advance healthcare in Colorado, Kansas, and Utah. Orthopedic care with human kindness is here. Visit mountain.commonspirit.org.
It's springtime in the Rockies, and it's time to apply Revive Organic Soil Treatment. A Revive treatment with fertilization, aeration, and good watering is the key to building stronger roots for a healthy, lush green lawn. Revive fertilizes and moves water and nutrients deeper into the soil. Take advantage of spring storms with an application of Revive now. Protect yourself from drought later this summer and skyrocketing water costs. With Revive, if you water 2 times a week, it's like watering 4. Apply Revive Organic Soil Treatment today. It works.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
KSL News Time 1254. Bags fly free. Not anymore on one popular airline that for years has promised its passengers just that.
Free check bags for everyone flying on Southwest. That policy officially over as of this Tuesday. The airline now says passengers will have to pay $35 for their first check bag and $45 for a second one. The most expensive Southwest tickets and those for the top tier of Southwest Miles customers will still come with bags that fly for free.
That is ABC's Sherry Preston reporting. Watching Utah's money, Volvo is cutting 3,000 jobs as tariffs continue to rattle the automotive market. It's part of its cost and cash action plan. Most of the cuts will affect jobs in Sweden, where 15% of its global office is based. Say goodbye to those free check bags on Southwest. The airline says it's going to start charging passengers after more than 50 years of their 2 bags fly free policy. Pickleball is still growing. The sport saw a 223% jump in participation over the last 3 years. The Sports and Fitness Industry Association calling it the fastest growing sport for several years running. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by 712 points, sitting at 42,315. S&P is up by 115 points, nearly a full 2%, and the Nasdaq is up 436 36 points. A United Airlines flight taking off from Beijing for San Francisco aborted takeoff yesterday when a fire was seen coming from an engine.
The United Airlines Boeing 777 was barreling down the runway when passengers reported hearing a pop and seeing fire coming out of the right engine. United says one of the engines lost power and the pilots aborted the takeoff. There were 229 passengers on board. They got off the plane on the runway and they were bussed back to the terminal. Nobody was injured, and United says it provided passengers with hotel rooms while a replacement aircraft was flown in. Alex Stone, EBC News.
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And with you on our side, we are going to end animal cruelty around the globe. Join us. Humane World for Animals, the end of animal cruelty.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And I often think of my old boss in the Navy, Commander Reed, especially when I'm trying to motivate my kids. Now I know how he must have felt trying to motivate me. This Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
KSL Broadcast Group contests are open to participants 18 years of age and older that are residents of Utah, unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest may not enter. Persons who have won in the last 30, 60, or 90 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available at KSLNewsRadio.com/contests.
Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. What's happening on the roads, Ricky?
It looks like crews have been able to take care of whatever was causing the delays northbound I-215's West Belt at about 3,500 south. Speeds are back to normal in that area. We still have some leftover heavy and slow traffic southbound SR 36 Main Street going from Lake Point to Erda, and that is due to road work. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Taking a look at the forecast for the Wasatch Front, we are expecting a high today of 86 degrees, so it's going to get toasty, but that's not toasty when you look at the next 7-day forecast. We are headed up into the 90s. 20% chance of afternoon showers, mainly near the mountains today. Tomorrow's high 87. We are up to 94 degrees by the weekend. Saturday 94, Sunday 95. But it looks like very little chance of rain over the weekend. Tomorrow, expect another 20% chance of showers. Right now in downtown Salt Lake City, sunny, 79 degrees. In Ogden, it's 79. Logan at this hour, it's at 75. Park City, the cool spot, 67 degrees.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
As more and more apartments pop up around Utah, what happened to the starter condo?
Condominiums have really disappeared. Starter condos from the American landscape over the last 15 years as a result of some of the challenges with liability and financing.
The time is 1 o'clock on Tuesday, May 27th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, the latest on Utah's housing shortage and Governor Cox's plans to build tens of thousands of starter homes. Also this hour,
we're coming in with these students and we're putting the footprints in at lots of different crossings.
The colorful project at one Utah elementary school that's trying to provide a safer walk for kids. But first, our top stories. One person is dead following an officer-involved shooting in Salt Lake City this morning. This happened just after midnight at a home near 11th East and Hudson Avenue. Salt Lake City Police Detective Dalton Beebe says officers responded after a woman called 911 saying her ex-husband was breaking into her home.
The woman and her 2 children inside the home, they hid inside of a bedroom as he broke in and remained on the line with SLC 911 until officers arrived on scene.
Baby says officers shot the man when they arrived and he died on the scene. Family and friends tell us the man had served prison time in the past for trying to set his wife and children on fire. Congestion at the base of Bridalveil Falls could soon lead to legislation to trade land between Utah County and the National Forest Service. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has details.
Between e-bikes, skateboards, and pedestrians, the one path between the parking lot and base to Bridalveil Falls is extremely congested and not always safe. Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner says they're hoping to trade some land owned by the National Forest Service to build a second bridge in the area for use only for those with wheels.
The plan still requires a public hearing, likely in the next 6 weeks, then approval with the goal to have a solution in place by next summer. Our top national story from ABC News. Americans' views of the economy improved in May after 5 straight months of declines. Consumer confidence has reached the lowest level since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, largely driven by anxiety over the impact of new tariffs. This morning, the Consumer Confidence Index rose 12.3 points. President Trump has now put his threatened 50% tariffs on European imports on hold.
President Trump said in a social media post Tuesday he is extremely satisfied with the effects of his threat of tariffs on the European Union, saying they called to quickly establish meetings. The president had threatened to put into effect a 50% tariff at the end of this week, June 1st, saying talks with one of the nation's largest trading partners were, quote, going nowhere. Instead, the president put this on pause until July 9th after speaking to the president of the European Commission. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
And the news caused the markets to soar, with the Dow up 714 points, sitting at 42,316. S&P 500 up by nearly 2%, up 113 points, and the Nasdaq is up by 425 points. A 64-year-old hiker is recovering after falling 20 feet from a waterfall in Adams Canyon. Other hikers nearby were able to keep him stable until paramedics arrived. The man was airlifted to a parking lot and then taken to the hospital by ambulance. Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese.
It's a delay-free drive on the Valley freeways, but road work is still causing some slowdowns southbound on SR 36 Main Street in Tooele County as you go from Lake Point to Erda. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
The high shooting up to 86 degrees today downtown, up to 94 by the weekend, though, with very little chance of rain. 79 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation and a regular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduce stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Ready to order.
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Starter condominiums could be the answer to Utah's housing shortage. Well, state lawmakers think it could certainly help. Thanks for tuning into Midday. I'm Maria Shilaos, and I hope you had a great Memorial Day weekend. Governor Cox's goal is to build 35,000 starter homes by 2028. Now, that's traditionally been thought of as single-family homes, but a change from the legislature would allow condominiums to count as starter homes, too. The heart of the story, Utah's housing shortage. I spoke with Steve Waldrop, Senior Advisor for Housing Strategy and Innovation, about these changes.
Condominiums have really disappeared, starter condos from the American landscape over the last 15 years as a result of some of the challenges with liability and financing, both for the developer and the buyer. And that's a huge hole in the starter world, because those are the least expensive entry points into home ownership, and we've really lost that. And so the legislature in 2025 added really a fairly simple change, added Utah Housing Corp as a permitted lender of the $300 million Transportation Infrastructure Fund within the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund, to allow them to provide loans for developers who wanted to create starter condos.
It seems really funny for a lot of us because we used to think of condominiums as being starter homes.
Yeah, it's changed dramatically, and it kind of happened without anybody really thinking too much about it. It just sort of happened organically, and as is usually the case, all of a sudden everybody wakes up one day and says, whoa, we haven't been building condos for a really long time. And so we now have a tool that Utah Housing Corp is working on to create an opportunity for those condos to be financed during construction. We're creating a structured payment rather than a profit center or a profit structure for the developers, so that they get a reasonable return on their investment, on their development expertise, and the savings from doing all of this is passed on to the end buyer.
So what makes a condo different from an apartment?
Really the only difference, there's no difference in construction. It is just the difference of ownership of an individual unit within a building or a project versus having those units owned by a single landlord and managing the entire, charging rent on the entire structure.
Many municipalities haven't been huge fans of high-density housing, so how do they feel about condos then?
We've been really encouraged by the reception of municipalities to this proposal. The challenge with apartments is, just kind of built in. They're somewhat transient by nature. Housing stability is really what we're going for, and beyond housing stability, the opportunity to create wealth and generational wealth through home ownership. And the only way a lot of people are going to get to that point is by having an opportunity to purchase a condo. And so the cities have been really receptive to a couple of the things that we've created within this program. One is a requirement for owner occupancy. So 100% of the condos that are financed with this program have to be owner occupied for at least 5 years. That's a minimum, not a maximum. It can be longer than that. And then the other thing that we're finding a lot of cities wanting to do is provide an early access opportunity for teachers and first responders, firefighters, police, active duty military veterans, having that be an opportunity for those job classifications where they are critical to the health and safety of our communities, where those individuals can get housing in the communities that they live in or that they serve. And, that cuts down on traffic and congestion and air quality and all of the things that we care about if we can put workers in places where they're actually working.
Talk about the future just a little bit here. I mean, is the state going to continue focusing on single-family homes, or, what do you see happening in this area in the future?
Yeah, I think it's all of the above. Single-family homes, obviously, you think about the American dream, and it comes in the shape and size of a single-family home typically. Lots are definitely getting smaller because the price of land is increasing, and that's just a function of economics. But the single-family home really is the governor's priority. Because it provides that opportunity for people to have their own space and their own yard. And, what we're seeing more of now is more shared amenities within those single-family communities where you have maybe a little bit of smaller lots, but you also have community amenities right adjacent to those individuals with smaller lots so that they can access and have that quality of life that everybody wants.
Yeah, just any final comments or thoughts about how this change that adds the condos into this really impacts everyone?
Well, we're very optimistic that we can create a program where we're doing two things. One is reintroducing starter condos into the marketplace. And there isn't enough government funding to solve the housing problem. We can't tax and spend our way out of this. We have to partner with and rely on the private market developers and builders who are paying the individuals that are then going to go ahead and buy these places in order to solve this issue. One thing that we can bring to the table, however, and we are doing with this initial push, is we're using UDOT surplus land as an additional incentive for developers to come in and utilize those surplus properties that are currently underutilized throughout the state. They're leftovers from large construction projects. And we're starting with UDOT land. We're allowing developers to create proposals based on reduced cost land. Because it's owned by UDOT, they're still going to have to pay for it and keep UDOT whole, but it will be put into the deal at a lower cost. And that savings is passed on to those end buyers. It doesn't inure to the benefit of the developer. It goes right. That water gets all the way to the end of the row. And there are a significant amount of opportunities with additional land that's owned by various government entities, from cities to water districts to mosquito abatement districts to ag to natural resources to school districts, universities. We have a lot of public land that is currently not being taxed nor used. And so we really want to be intentional and thoughtful about how we introduce these public parcels into the possibility of having them be developable for housing, particularly affordable housing. And so that's one of the main goals with this, is to test out this public lands model alongside of this condo initiative.
So would it be fair to say that some of these lands aren't like where most people would want to build because they're adjacent to, train lines or something like that?
There's a mix on that. Obviously, we're doing a lot of transit-oriented development right now in the state and in the country. And I think people have been okay with living adjacent to transportation options. A lot of these these public lands are going to be adjacent to transportation corridors, which makes sense for density. And we're seeing that in a lot of communities throughout both the state and the country. And again, one of the greatest things that we can do here is use that opportunity to create ownership and wealth creation for, particularly for our younger generations that are coming into the workforce and saying, I am never going to be able to own a home. And we want to reverse that. We want them to feel like they have that opportunity here in Utah, that they can stay here, that they don't have to move to go achieve the American dream.
Steve Waldrop is a senior advisor for housing strategy and innovation for the state of Utah. Stay with us. We'll be back with more on housing in just 60 seconds.
It's Jeff Jr. from Trajan Wealth, and I've got something important to talk to you about, your 401k. If you have changed jobs, there are two very important considerations. You don't want to leave your 401k behind, and you don't want to roll it over into your new company plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. 401ks will often have limited investments or age-based options. Since companies have to make choices to suit all employees, they may not be suited to you, which could cost you fees and money. When you roll over your 401k into an IRA, you not only keep your money growing tax deferred, but you also gain access to a world of investment options specifically designed for you. Trajan Wealth and our fiduciary advisors have helped thousands, and we can do the same for you. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Advisory services offered through Trajan Wealth LLC, an SEC registered investment advisor.
We are continuing our coverage of Utah's housing shortage. Some of the areas that seem to have the least available affordable housing are Utah ski resorts. A new development near Jordanelle Reservoir hopes to make it easier for people who work at Park City ski resorts to live a bit closer to work. KSL News Radio's Britt Johnson spoke with Extel Executive Vice President Kurt Krieg about the new Deer Valley East Village. Krieg says there will be a mix of different kinds of recreation, hotels, and housing with a more than 7,000-acre project, including housing for resort workers.
You'll see a mix of condos, luxury condos and hotels. You'll see estate homes. And then within walking distance, we actually acquired 70 acres for what we call the workforce housing parcel, which will be a combination of apartments, dormitories, and townhomes to service an entire different component of our population, which is truly the workforce needed to make this a luxury resort. And we anticipate over 600 units on that parcel. We're working through the site plan right now and have hired our architect and working very closely with MIDA, because this not only provides our workforce, it also reduces our traffic, which keeps everybody in a short half-mile walking, hiking, or shuttle drive to work.
Part of the development will be utilized to boost the morale and welfare of military service members.
A resource for the military at a reasonable rate for them to participate and recreate as they recoup from their service. Extel raised their hand and said that we would like to include this within the project area. So within the first hotel we built, which is the Grand Hyatt, we have 100 residences in perpetuity, and those 100 residences are at a discounted rate based on rank for the military to use, and they never go away. Just to put that in perspective, if you're a private, you pay less than a general, and if you're a general, you pay slightly higher than a private. But what we're really talking about is about $153 per night, which goes up with CPI, but which is extremely reasonable in perpetuity.
The project is expected to finish in time for the 2034 Winter Olympics. We're going to take a break, and when we return, the latest on the dozens of people injured after a car plowed through a crowd in England during celebrations of a major soccer win. But first, it's KSL Traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky, what's this about a garbage truck on fire?
It is. This is in Utah County, southbound I-15 right now. A lot of black smoke and flames, and we're still waiting for fire crews to arrive on the scene. In the meantime, this is southbound I-15 after Lehigh Main Street and approaching Pioneer Crossing. Officers have blocked off 2 right lanes of traffic. I'm waiting to see them start dousing this fire. They're also blocking off an exit ramp if you're traveling southbound I-15 going from Lehigh to American Fork. Expect delays. Ricky Meeson, the KSL Traffic Center.
Jeff Kaplan.
His Minute of News is great. It's always entertaining.
I listen to Jeff Kaplan every day.
He gives you important news and traffic and the familiar voice that helps you enjoy the ride home.
I really like Jeff's Minute of News. He's calm and he's balanced.
I really enjoy driving home and just listening to what he's got to say.
Jeff Kaplan gets me home every day.
Join the community that relies on Jeff Kaplan. He has you covered. Afternoons from 3 to 7 on KSL News Radio.
Do you need new windows? Look,
all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
Summer is right around the corner.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss. Today is a new day.
And a big day for you.
Why?
Why?
Because right now, you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Do you know how good it feels to let go of 51 pounds of belly fat? And I did it without drugs, shots, or hunger. Because Soda Weight Loss works. Just look at all the Google reviews and all the thousands of before and after pictures.
Soda Weight Loss has one goal, and that's to help you let go of the weight for good.
So I lost 25 pounds. I was never hungry. It was very, very easy. I couldn't believe how fast the weight came off.
Now is the time to join America's #1 weight loss company for client satisfaction and results.
Hurry. Savings won't last long.
Let's go.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com. Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Dozens of paraders, including some children, recovering this morning following an incident overnight in Liverpool, England. While hundreds of thousands of jubilant soccer fans lined the streets of the British city, a minivan plowed through the crowd. The suspect is believed to be a 53-year-old white British man. He's been arrested, but police say they don't believe that the incident was terrorism. ABC's Brad Milkey speaks with Ian Pannell to get the latest details.
This is the time of year for outdoor parties. Lots of Americans gathered yesterday at beaches and backyards to spend time with family on a Memorial Day weekend. In places like New York City, Knicks fans gathered outside to celebrate a comeback victory. And across the Atlantic in Liverpool, England, thousands upon thousands of people gathered to celebrate Liverpool Football Club's Premier League title. Well, during this parade in the streets, a car careened into some pedestrians. Then it continued, hitting more and more, plowing into larger and larger groups. ABC's chief foreign correspondent Ian Pannell is in the UK right now. Ian, can you just walk us through what happened here?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, Brad, this was a day of great celebration. It was a great moment for Liverpool. They equaled the most Premier League titles ever. It was an open-top bus, as you see with a victorious American sporting teams going through the crowds. There were red flares let loose. The cup was held aloft. The crowds cheered. Interestingly, the chairman of Liverpool is also the chairman of the Boston Red Sox. He was also over celebrating together with the crowd. But as things started to end, that celebration turned to tragedy. Now, there are multiple videos circulating online, which are now a key part of the police investigation. What you see is a dark-coloured people carrier careening through the crowd. It seems to swerve to the right and to the left, and all the while it's a tough watch.
Oh no! What the? Oh my God! Allah! Oh my God!
You see people being knocked to one side, and in the end, some people caught under the vehicle as it comes to a halt. An angry crowd around starts to mill, starts to try and open the doors. The back window of the vehicle is smashed. The police are struggling to keep control. They eventually manage to usher the man detained at the scene into an ambulance, partly for his own protection, and meanwhile, then paramedics, first responders, dealing with the aftermath. And we now know, according to a late police press conference, that there were around 47 people injured in all.
Our crews rapidly lifted the vehicle, removed 3 adults and 1 child from beneath, and passed them to our ambulance service colleagues.
27 were taken to hospital. 4 children were among the injured, and at least 2 are in a serious situation, including 1 child.
And no deaths that we know of so far, although that's as I'm talking to you right now. You said they arrested the driver. Who was the driver, and do we know what led to this?
Well, interestingly, the police released more detail than the British police normally would. They'd normally say that they had a man or a woman in custody and possibly say their age and where they're from. On this occasion, they pointedly referred to him as a white British male. And they later said again at this press conference it was from the Liverpool area. And that, of course, is to try and dampen down speculation that this person could have been of a certain background, that perhaps it was a terrorist attack along the lines of the other attacks that we've seen at other public gatherings, certainly on continental Europe, in Spain, in France, in Germany.
We believe this to be an isolated incident, and we are not currently looking for anyone else in relation to it. The incident is not being treated as terrorism.
And this seemed to be an attempt to try and deal with that. This is the same police force that dealt with a terrible incident in Stockport where a man had stabbed 3 young girls, and immediately online the speculation was it was an illegal immigrant, that it was a Muslim responsible. In the end it turned out to be none of those things, but once that falsehood had got out online, it really didn't matter. And you may remember that sparked a whole series of ugly protests by right-wing groups around the country. Hostels for immigrants were set alight, and so the police are kind of trying to deal with that, also very clearly saying that at this point in time they don't believe that it was terrorism. They don't believe anyone else was involved in this. I guess the key questions for them now is what led to it. And again, a lot of those videos circulating online will be crucial to the police investigation. In other words, what led up to this in the first place? What was the trigger, if indeed this wasn't a deliberate attack, as appears to be the case right now?
Right. It's very clear that to people who were watching this, that it was happening deliberately, although police have pointed out, there are a lot of reasons that these sorts of incidents can happen, ranging from terror. They've said it's not terror, but also, road rage, to medical emergencies, to even just the interaction sometimes between big, raucous groups of fans and then cars who happen to find themselves near the parade route. Sometimes there are incidents and fallouts stemming from that. A lot still to be uncovered here, but Ian Pannell, they're in the UK right now. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brad.
And that is ABC's Brad Mielke speaking with Ian Pannell on the Start Here podcast. It's 1:30 at midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. Kids around Utah finishing school and heading off to summer camps. It's 2025 and archaeologists are still finding historical artifacts in Egypt. and KSL traffic. Ricky?
We do have delays stacking up southbound I-15 in Utah County. In Lehigh, it's due to a vehicle fire at Pioneer Crossing, blocking right lanes of traffic and the exit ramp. Expect delays if you're traveling that stretch on southbound I-15. Maria?
Thank you, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute, but first, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Sievertson. This assessment about the sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs in New York, mentioning abuse of his ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura, and attorney Ariva Martin to ABC News.
It is really damning testimony against Sean Combs. When you look at the number of witnesses that have come into that courtroom that have corroborated violence that was perpetrated against Cassie and others, really compelling testimony for the prosecution.
In a reversal from what he told a Senate committee, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has removed COVID vaccines from recommended shots for healthy children and pregnant women. ABC News medical contributor Dr. Darian Sutton.
When you look at the data, over 70% of people have at least one health condition that increases their risk for a worse outcome with COVID-19.
Despite what aid groups say, operations getting food to people in Gaza have succeeded, says State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce, calling reports of violence gossip. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. State lawmakers want complaints against teachers investigated at a faster pace, but investigators say cases have spiked. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has more.
The state commission that investigates teacher complaints told the Education Interim Committee they used to get 10 to 15 complaints a month. That's now closer to 50 a month. And they're requesting money to hire more investigators. The biggest increase in complaints is in boundary violations. That would be, say, a teacher directly texting a student. Then there's the violence and discipline complaints, where a teacher might have gotten hands-on during discipline.
The commission says complaints where a student could be at risk always get top priority. That includes any allegations of sexual misconduct. Utah has the worst nursing shortage in the nation, according to a new study. The report from a Florida law firm found each nurse in Utah is responsible for almost 75 patients, more than double what the best state in the country is handling. Utah Tech Nursing Department Chair Dr. Judy Scott says it's a national problem made worse in Utah by neighboring states who lure our nurses away with better pay. Now, that's not all, though. Dr. Scott says the profession can be overwhelming to new nurses.
Because they go from being a school person, someone in school, to, okay, now you have to do everything. And so sometimes that's a bit of a shock.
She says hospitals could try implementing a mentor program to help ease new nurses into the role and reduce their stress at the start. The arrival of graduation season means it's also summer job season, but experts say you need to watch out for scams.
The scams are often the ones that require money for applications or to buy equipment. But Troy Lamb with the Department of Workforce Services says summer work is good for teens who want to build their resumes.
This really helps them to get some good experience to decide what they want to do for work, maybe long term, but definitely for right now helps them to build their application and resume skills.
Jobs this summer include camp counselors, fast food and retail, and lifeguarding. Teens must be 14 to work in Utah. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up by 684 points, sitting at 42,287. S&P is up by 110. The NASDAQ up 413 points. The kickoff to summer was a busy weekend for Utah Highway Patrol troopers. The agency tells us that they responded to over 170 crashes over the Memorial Day holiday weekend, 2 of them fatal. Statewide, troopers conducted more than 5,000 traffic stops and a few dozen DUI busts. We do have emergency traffic. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. What's going on, Ricky?
This is in Utah County, where we've had a vehicle fire, a garbage truck. This was almost fully engulfed on southbound I-15 as you were going through Lehigh, approaching Pioneer Crossing in American Fork. We still have right lanes blocked and the exit ramp at Pioneer Crossing. As fire crews are still on the scene, there was a lot of black smoke and flames coming out. Drivers handled it very well, but we do have delays. Solid stop-and-go speeds will start to appear on southbound I-15 prior to Lehigh Main Street. All tickets are on sale now, so claim your spot and start planning your perfect Park City night. Details at DeerValleyMusicFestival.org. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
20% chance of a late afternoon thunderstorm, mostly near the mountains today with a high of 86. Tomorrow, 87 degrees and up to 94, 95 for the weekend. 81 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
If you've got a honey-do list with electrical, plumbing, heating, or air conditioning projects on it, Any Hour Services can help. Call Any Hour Services, electrical, plumbing, heating, and air. anyhourservices.com.
When you choose Performance Automotive in Bountiful, you're choosing selection, convenience, and exceptional service. With 3 locations, Performance Ford Lincoln, Performance Honda, and Performance Toyota, Performance Automotive is here to serve your needs. Performance Automotive in Bountiful, where excellence comes standard. Start your search at performancebountiful.com.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. Optima Tax Relief. Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
In today's digital world, outdated technology can slow you down. You need a partner who keeps you ahead of the curve. At Les Olson IT, we help your business thrive with top-tier office technology. From copiers and IT hardware to advanced IT services and security solutions. With Les Olson IT, you get more than just products. You get solutions, service, and a team that cares. Les Olson IT, empowering businesses with the tools for success.
Les Olson IT.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. As we move into the summer months, it's brought up memories of kids' camps and other trips. And that got us thinking about summer camps in the year 2025. We asked you to chime in and share your thoughts on sending your kids to summer camp. And we asked about the kind of camp that you picked, and if you didn't pick a camp, then why? On social media, several folks chimed in saying church camps were their favorite. Another few people said that they weren't planning on sending their kids to any kind of camp. And now we want to dig into the topic more and find out what summer camps are like in this day of age. Becky Ulibarri is the director of Wasatch Kids Camps, which operates several different kinds of camps for children and teenagers in the area. She joins us now for this deep dive. Becca, let's start with the broad question. Why do you think it's important for kids to participate in summer camps?
Hi. I think that there's so many reasons why kids should be at camp. It keeps them busy. It keeps them active. They're with friends and peers. They're learning, they're outside, they're off of their screens, which is huge for us at Wasatch Kids. Lots of reasons, yeah.
So what do camps look like these days? My kids haven't been in camp for quite some time. What kinds of camps are there?
Oh, there's a big variety, and it seems like it's growing every year. There's always something new. I've been doing this for over 20 years in some form or another, working in the summer camp industry, and I've seen a lot of different kinds of camps start to pop up. There's just your generic, like rec center programs, Boys and Girls Club, YMCA. It seems like every rec center has got some sort of program. Specialty camps. You can do horseback riding, rock climbing, cooking, sewing, art, kayaking. There's a sailing camp up in the Park City area. So just so many cool opportunities for kids.
So how do parents make the decision of which camp to send their kid to?
Good question. I think there's a lot of things that go into play. Working parents that need something for their kids every single day, obviously that's going to be a different kind of program than kids that have flexibility and they, can stay home for some of the, days or weeks and might just need it kind of in a part-time manner. I think that obviously how long it lasts, so how early they need to drop off and when they need to pick up, what their children's interests are, what kinds of things do their kids want to do. There's overnight options that are also, great for some families and not for others. There's a lot of different things that go into play when deciding what's going to work best for your children and your family.
Yeah, we have heard from a few people who said, hey, they're not sending their kids to camp. So what are some of the reasons parents give you for not sending their children to particular camps?
So maybe not a need for it. So they have a parent that's either working at home or has a flexible schedule. Their children are older. They have older children or family members that are able to hang out with their kids over the summer. There's a few, different reasons for obviously different families in different situations why they might not need to utilize a summer camp.
Right. How is technology playing into summer camps, cell phones, social media? Has it made camps less popular?
Ooh, that's a good question. I don't know that it's made camps less popular, but
it's probably created some challenges for the camps, though, right?
Yeah, no, for sure. We've been a phone-free camp for going on 19 years now, and it's definitely become more of a challenge, obviously, in the last several years to keep phones, out of camp because a lot of, especially our older kids, are used to just having their phones all day. So it has definitely changed things and become a challenge, but we still, think that's so important for them to have that time away from their screens where they can focus on things like engaging with each other and our environment and our activities and just, really important stuff for kids.
Right. When parents come to you, are they looking for a break for, all the schoolwork, or do they actually want their kids to be learning some skills?
That actually is a question I get fairly often from parents is, what kind of academia do you offer? Is, what's educational about your program? And I'm sure that there are programs out there that focus a little bit more on that. And there's summer schools, obviously, and different programs that are going to help your kids kind of stay up with academics throughout the summer. We are not one of those camps. So we don't have any sort of focus on academics throughout the summer. However, the kids are learning, right? Like they're learning. We go to museums, we go on tours, just learning social skills, so many things about nature and about just being around different people and so many things I think that are important for kids to be learning that maybe aren't your traditional, reading, writing, academic, math kind of skills.
Right. I appreciate your time today. Thanks so much for being with me.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
That is Becca Ulibarri, Director of Wasatch Kids Camps. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues with a look at more national news in just 60 seconds.
If you're talking, they will hear you.
We all want our kids to grow up safe and healthy, so we show them how. And we tell them with honest conversations that let them know what we expect. Not just one time, but every chance we get. That's especially important when it comes to alcohol and other drugs. Kids not only need to know the dangers and how to avoid them, they need to hear it often from you. And when it comes to pain medications, opioids, they need to know that they should never be taken without a prescription and never shared with friends or family. It's dangerous and illegal. So talk with your kids and guide them through the challenges of growing up safe and healthy. Because when you talk, they hear you. For more information about talking with your kids about underage use of alcohol and other drugs, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
So talk, they hear you. You can do it if you try.
Taking a look now at some international news. President Trump has hit pause on his threats of new tariffs on imports from Europe. In a social media post this morning, the president said that he's extremely satisfied with the effects of his tariff threat on the European Union. ABC News White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
The president is now relenting. Just for now, he is delaying that threat of a 50% tariff against the European Union, one of our largest trading partners. These massive tariffs were supposed to go into effect at the end of this week on June 1st, but instead he's now postponing them until July 9th, following a phone call with the head of the European Commission.
President Trump says the president of the European Commission told him that she wants to get down to serious negotiations. The president telling reporters that he had told the EU that they'd need to commit to those negotiations in order to get things done. Again, ABC's Mary Bruce.
Both sides this morning are promising to quickly ramp up these talks, but it's still not clear exactly what President Trump is looking for. Asked on Friday if there was anything that the EU could do to avoid these tariffs, the president said, quote, "I don't know. We're going to have to see what happens."
The latest tariff news comes amid news that Americans view their views of the economy improved in May after 5 straight months of declines sent consumer confidence to the lowest level since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Much of the drop in consumer confidence had come because of the threat of tariffs. The FBI will take another hard look at the discovery of cocaine in the Biden White House 2 years ago. News Nation's Nick Smith has more.
July 2nd, 2023. A small bag of cocaine turned up in a cubby near the West Wing. That's where staff and visitors leave their phones before going inside. More than 500 people passed through that area in the days prior. The Secret Service ran DNA tests and fingerprint scans. No match, no suspect. Case closed until now. Dan Bongino, the number 2 at the FBI, posting to X in part, "We made the decision to either reopen or push additional resources and investigative attention to these cases. I received requested briefings on these cases weekly, and we are making progress."
President Biden was away at the time of the discovery. And more discoveries coming out of Egypt. But how? Haven't we already found everything? On this episode of The Start Here, show host Brad Milkey details a new discovery in Egypt.
It's one of the oldest cities on Earth, and yet people just seem to keep finding stuff in it. Yesterday, Egyptian authorities announced they have made a new discovery in Luxor. No, we're not talking about the Vegas casino. We're talking about the city in Egypt that was founded about 4,500 years ago. Today, it's often described as the world's largest open-air museum because of all the ancient structures that remain. But people live there. It's a functioning city with a mayor, a city council, the whole thing. What archaeologists uncovered were the tombs of prominent Luxor statesmen, the city councilors of their time. One was the manager of a grain silo, another was the mayor of some oases just north of town. How do researchers know this? Well, they've decoded inscriptions that are still intact on the inner walls. That's how well maintained these tombs are after 3,000 years. You can still see crystal clear drawings in multiple colors adorning the tombs. What's fascinating is this is only one of several new discoveries in this region in recent months. Late last year, archaeologists uncovered another Luxor tomb, this time belonging to a large family. Then in February, just outside Luxor, researchers found what they believe is the last undiscovered tomb belonging to the ancestors of King Tut. You might be wondering, why all these new discoveries right now? Well, one reason is the Egyptian government is eager to offer tourists new reasons to visit their country. Political upheaval in the wake of the Arab Spring a decade ago has led to significantly more security concerns. The country is cash-strapped. Later this summer, a mega attraction called the Grand Egyptian Museum will finally open within sight of the Giza pyramids. They've poured $1 billion into making this a top-notch attraction. So that's one reason, a major state investment in the hopes of revitalizing a sagging economy. The other reason is simpler. There's still so much in this region to be uncovered. After thousands of years of life and death, after the rise and fall of dozens of dynasties, many of ancient Egypt's tales are still shrouded in mystery. And while our modern wars and revolutions can define our countries and our lives, these tombs remind us that our lives are quick. Our legacies can last much longer.
And that is ABC's Brad Milkey. When we come back, we'll tell you how one Salt Lake City neighborhood is trying to make the walk to school a little more colorful and a little safer, too. But first, traffic and weather. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Emergency traffic continues in Utah County. It all began with a vehicle fire southbound I-15 just before Pioneer Crossing in American Fork. And we saw the flames and the black smoke of this garbage truck on southbound I-15. We still have right lanes blocked and the exit ramp at Pioneer Crossing blocked to traffic. On southbound I-15, delays are almost back to 2100 North Lehigh. While you're planning your day, plan for comfort too with the Good Feet store. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
You're hearing a lot lately about weight loss programs, weight loss drugs. Well, if you're looking for an all-natural program, one that doesn't use any injections, surgery, or medication, so there will be no side effects, I want to tell you about Salt Lake City Fat Loss. This is an all-natural program, a 60-day plan. It helps you trim down very quickly, really takes the frustration out of losing weight. I've now lost more than 40 pounds with the help of Salt Lake City Fat Loss, 25 pounds of it in the first 60 days. Many people lose up to a pound per day. The other great thing about this program, it's not as expensive as other programs because there are no prepackaged meals or other products that you're required to buy. Plus, it's easy to stick with because it's simple combination of foods that help burn that stored fat quickly. You can save $200 now. Just learn more and schedule your free consultation at slcfatloss.com, or you can call them at 801-450-1882. slcfatloss.com, slcfatloss.com.
It's time for the KSL Give-a-thon.
We need your help raising money for sick Utah kids receiving treatment at Primary Children's Hospital.
Go to kslkids.com and donate today.
Be a smile maker. An automatic gift each month helps save the lives of children all year long.
Sponsored by J&J Garden Center in Layton.
A big thanks to other generous sponsors, including the Utah Hyundai dealers, for their amazing support of the kids of Primary Children's.
The KSL Give-a-thon. We can't do it without you. Please give today at kslkids.com.
The success you've already had matters at University of Maryland Global Campus because we're a school for real life. An accredited state university, UMGC lets you earn up to 90 credits toward a bachelor's for prior learning, life, and work experience, or transfer up to 12 credits toward a master's. We offer affordable tuition and online and hybrid courses. No application fee if you apply by May 30th. Learn more at umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the Big Wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto-pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
An Australian hiker travels to the American West to walk a wilderness trail.
Wasn't afraid to be out on his own.
But Eric Robinson vanished in the high Uinta Mountains.
I remember thinking, Eric, what were you thinking, mate?
I'm Dave Cawley. Join me on my podcast, Uinta Triangle, where I travel the world to answer the question, what happened to Eric Robinson? Follow Uinta Triangle. That's UINTA Triangle on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen.
Buying a home can be challenging. Good thing Mountain America Credit Union is on your side. With our homegrown home loans, you'll receive the local guidance and friendly service to finance your dream home. Plus, for a limited time, you'll get a free appraisal. Apply for your Mountain America Homegrown Home Loan today. Details at macu.com/mortgage. On approved credit, membership required based on eligibility. Offer can change or be withdrawn at any time. Some restrictions apply. Equal housing lender. NMLS ID 462815.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. The school year may be wrapping up quickly, but that doesn't mean preparations for next year aren't already underway. In the Rose Park neighborhood of Salt Lake City, students, school staff, city workers, and community leaders are working together to make getting to school a little safer. Groups are painting dinosaur footprints on the sidewalk, showing the safest route for kids to bike or walk to school. KSL5 TV's Brian Carlson visited the school to find out more about this project, and he spoke to Mary Sizemore, transportation engineer with Salt Lake City, and she says every school is required to have a safe route, but this is taking things one step further.
Every school is legally obligated to have a safe route to school, and so every school has one of these, but it's not, you don't see it out on the street. So that's why this is really important and really exciting that the students in the school are into this, that we can now be able to see the safe route to school. And this is really important because kids are the most vulnerable out of all of us in the population. So making sure that they are safe on our streets ensures that every one of us is safe.
She says the routes for kids to get to school at Rose Park Elementary have some longer crossings, so these footprints will be helpful.
We've got some long crossing distances here. Not only on 9th West, but some other roads as well. So the more that we can shorten those crossing distances, help kids know where it's safe to cross, that will help us in, consolidating kids kind of to one spot to make sure that, there's safety in numbers. So helping kids help each other, and hopefully we'll see some more infrastructure changes to help support that physically.
The project has been a collaborative effort between the school, Salt Lake City, and Bike Utah. Seth Common is the Community Engagement and Education Manager at Bike Utah. He says these footprints are the first stage in making it safer to get to school.
I think in the global scope of what we're doing, these footprints and some of the other things that we're planning are to make a big difference. So part of what we're doing is we're coming in with these students and we're putting the footprints in at lots of different crossings. Students in this neighborhood are now going to know the safest places to cross, and that's great. The second step in June is we're actually going to be putting in quick build infrastructure along some of the dangerous crossings that we identified from the community. And I think those things combined are going to make it so students are going to be able to walk and bike safely to school in the fall.
Megan Lopez, assistant coordinator for the Community Learning Center at Rose Park Elementary School, says they've been making more of an effort to get students to walk or bike to school.
I think the project really wants to support kids who want to walk and bike to school. And we have a raptor ride, we call it, once a month when the weather's nice, where we kind of start and then pick up kids along the way, and they all bike together. So it's like a bike bus is what it's called, to get to school. And we really wanted to have that be supported by the safe route and a way for kids, even if they're not taking the bike bus, to see physically how to get to school in the safest way.
So how did the routes get selected? Mary Sizemore explains the process.
Bike Utah has been doing a lot of work. They've been great partners. We had a couple of open houses with the community, including students, parents, community members, to help identify where are the most dangerous spots and where are places that feel safer. So we kind of took in all of that input, looked at traffic volumes, at safer crossings, maybe at a stoplight instead of an unsignalized crossing, and all of that data kind of comes together and informs the proposed safe route.
Not everyone seems sold on the project. Rusty is a student at Rose Park Elementary who's finishing up his 5th grade year. He likes the idea, hopes it works, but worries that kids might not follow it.
I think putting in the dinosaur prints, knowing where to go, is a good idea in a way, but there are going to be a lot of kids that won't be listening to it, because I've seen a lot of kids that just ride on the road, cars behind them, cars in front of them. It's very unsafe. I think it's a good idea and a great community project for the bikers and people that walk or do some sort of other way of travel that is not a motorized vehicle such as cars or motorcycles.
You can see the designated paths to follow. Just look for big purple raptor footprints around Rose Park Elementary School. Coming up in the next hour of Midday, we'll tell you about the growing scam targeting Utahns with texts of unpaid tolls. Stay with us.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
State lawmakers calling on a Utah judge to resign following some of his comments during a recent sentencing.
112 days is a lot of jail time. It's a lot of jail time for someone your age who comes from some level of privilege.
The time is 2 o'clock on Tuesday, May 27th. It's midday. I'm Maria Shilaos. Coming up, why the Utah Speaker of the House says this judge's comments failed to deliver justice for the victims. Also this hour.
Oh, Utahns love to get outside. We are one of the top states for outdoor recreation participation.
How a grant program is improving parks and other rec areas in all of Utah's 29 counties. But first, our top stories. This Memorial Day holiday weekend was very busy on the roads. KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi reports.
The unofficial kickoff to summer kept state troopers busy. Utah Highway Patrol Corporal Jared Haywood says his agency conducted more than 4,200 traffic stops and made 77 DUI arrests. They also responded to 172 crashes, at least 2 of them fatal. He says everyone was apparently excited for nice weather and decided to get out on the highways. Tammy Kikuchi, KSL News Radio.
Utah County officials are hoping a land swap will make the area around Bridalveil Falls and Provo Canyon more safe. Utah County Commissioner Amelia Powers Gardner says pedestrians and people on bikes and skateboards are currently sharing one path.
We want to put a second bridge and have one bridge be dedicated foot traffic and have one bridge bring the wheeled traffic around that.
Gardner says the only land available to build the second bridge is on Forest Service land, so they want to trade an area owned by the county for the forest land. The request is still awaiting approval and a public hearing. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. NPR has filed a lawsuit against President Trump over his executive order cutting federal funding to public broadcasting.
The lawsuit is filed in federal court here in D.C. by NPR and its key stations in Colorado. They argue the president has no authority to direct the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to end its funding for NPR and PBS, that amounts to textbook retaliation and viewpoint-based discrimination, violating the First Amendment. The executive order Trump signed earlier this month accuses the two networks of offering biased and partisan news coverage, a charge they both deny.
That is ABC's Stephen Portnoy. U.S. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. announced the COVID-19 vaccine will no longer be among the recommended vaccines for pregnant women and healthy children. The recommendation shift follows other changes to COVID-19 vaccine policy. The FDA said last week it's overhauling how it approves COVID-19 vaccines. The video of French President Emmanuel Macron apparently being shoved in his face by his wife is blowing up on social media.
The video of the shove quickly going viral. The president's team initially called it a fake, but later Macron acknowledged it was real, downplaying the incident, saying he and his wife were bickering and joking.
ABC's James Longman says the shove took place on the presidential plane right as the crew opened the door in front of the TV cameras. Taking a look at your money at this moment, the Dow up by nearly 741 points, sitting at 42,343. S&P 500 up by 119, more than 2%. And the S&P 500 up by 461 points. That's nearly 2.5%. Emergency traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Let's get the latest now with Ricky Meese.
This is in Utah County. The stop-and-go delays on southbound I-15 begin as you're approaching 2100 North Lehigh. It's all due to the vehicle fire that we have that's still blocking multiple right lanes of traffic at Pioneer Crossing, American Fork. The exit ramp is also blocked. You have 3 open lanes for all traffic to filter through, center and left lanes, but these delays are pretty solid. So if you can avoid this stretch and take an alternate route, you want to do that. Otherwise, you can expect probably 30 to 35 minutes minimum of solid delays to get through this stretch. Traffic's rough, but your parking lot doesn't have to be. GoPave Utah keeps things smooth with expert asphalt maintenance at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Control Traffic Center.
Quickly headed up to a high of 86 degrees today. Very slight chance of showers near the mountains this afternoon. Tomorrow, 87 degrees for a high and 90 degrees on Thursday. 81 degrees from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Progressive knows when you're in your RV, you're already on vacation. That's when you become Vacation You, who just camped where there's absolutely no shade. Even though regular you burns easily. In fact, Vacation You burns too, but is too stubborn to admit it, which is why regular you gets in trouble at the dermatologist, because Vacation You doesn't do doctors. So bundle your RV with your home or auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
Here with Matt Ashdown from True Rinse Carpet Cleaning. Matt, people are diving into spring cleaning. What can you share about cleaning inside the home?
Spring's the perfect time to hit reset and clean out filth and sickness that Utah winters bring into our homes. Carpet and rugs are a giant filter, so now's the time to clean and refresh. Our couches have taken a beating too. They're full of allergens, hairs, oils, spills, and things you probably don't even want to think about. They definitely need a spring refresh.
Yeah, True Rinse does things differently though, right?
True Rinse has been a professional carpet cleaning business for over 20 years. With countless hours of training, our technicians apply state-of-the-art cleaning techniques, using powerful combinations of water, heat, suction, and no harsh chemicals, delivering a safe, effective clean and a quicker dry time. That's why people choose True Rinse and stay loyal.
And you got a spring offer.
Yes, spring into savings. Get 3 areas clean for just $119.
3 areas for $119. Schedule now at TrueRinse.com. That's TrueRinse.com, Utah's carpet cleaning experts.
Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz calling on a state judge to resign for comments the judge made during a sentencing. The man being sentenced, convicted of a broad list of criminal charges involving sexual exploitation of a minor. Thanks for tuning in to Midday with Maria Shilaos. During the sentencing, the judge mentioned something that caught the attention of a lot of folks on social media.
112 days is a lot of jail time. It's a lot of jail time for someone your age who comes from some level of privilege.
That is 7th District Court Judge Don Torgerson speaking to 22-year-old Aiden Hoffman. Last week, Hoffman was sentenced following him pleading guilty to 2 felony charges of sexual exploitation of a minor. Talking to Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz wrote, quote, that this is deeply troubling and indicative of a broader pattern within the judiciary. Such decisions not only fail to deliver justice for victims in this case, children, but also erode public confidence in the legal system. Judge Torgerson's comments and decisions are a failure of justice and cannot be ignored. He must resign. He should not be able to continue sitting on the bench and serving the people of this great state. KSL 5 TV's Daniel Woodruff tracked the story over the long weekend and joined Debbie Dujanovic and Leah Murray this morning to talk more about it. Now, Daniel explained where the connection of privilege could have been drawn from that judge.
It seemed to me in talking with the county attorney that he drew the connection that the judge was referring to this defendant's financial status and the fact that, you know, he came from what we would consider to be an affluent background.
The prosecutor in the case spoke to Daniel, saying that it feels like the system of justice has different standards, different lanes for different people.
That shocked me. We should look at defendants and the actions that they've done and not make it lesser because of their affluent status or their privilege. The investigator spent more time likely investigating this case than the defendant spent in jail. Something like this shocked my conscience so much that I feel failing to act or failing to speak out on this wouldn't be doing a justice or service to that community and those kids out there.
This isn't the first time Hoffman has done something like this. Daniel explained the defendant has similar charges in Maine.
In our reporting, we were able to confirm, and it took a bit because Maine is on the other side of the country, and I was able to confirm that this individual, Aiden Hoffman, is facing essentially similar felony charges in the state of Maine, and that case is unresolved. He was charged in 2023, same time, or I should say not same time, a little bit before he was charged here, but that case, he has a court hearing in July. So he has very similar possession of illicit material involving children charges in Maine like he does here. Of course, now he's been convicted.
Daniel reached out to the court system for comment on what the judge said, but was told that there would be no further comment. So Debbie Dujanovic reached out to KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas for his takes.
The controversy now is what the judge said during this individual's sentencing hearing, and he remarked about the defendant's privilege. That seems to be what has sparked Utah House Speaker Mike Schultz to call for the judge's resignation. I thought what that highlighted is that potentially in the criminal justice system that there are people that are given breaks because they appear to come from a background that offers them hope with family support, and those who end up serving more time because maybe they are deemed more hopeless. But your take is different than that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what the judge meant by privilege, except that the kid had come from a good family and had things going for him. And the judge felt like that was of some interest, of some relevance, I guess, and imposed the sentence. But I would say this, Debbie, a sentence of 4 or 5 months, which was what was imposed here, is entirely consistent statewide with first-time young offenders who are convicted of that particular crime. And I know that might trouble some people because it would seem like a softball sentence, but there would also include a 3 or 4 year probationary period, a probably 10-year sex offender registration period, and a felony conviction that would be on your record for a very, very long time. So these are not crimes that involve the actual touching of a child, but looking at images of someone else doing that, and that's why they're treated a little bit differently than the touching crimes.
However, the 112 days for a lot of people seems like a hall pass.
Yeah, we're seeing, Debbie, sentences in the 6 to 9 month range. 6 months with good time wouldn't be far away from 112, 120, 130 days. And again, there are other consequences that follow this. So I know that might seem like a soft sentence, but a young person spending 4 months in jail isn't, to that person, a soft sentence or a light sentence. And again, that individual is going to could have a felony on his record and be on the sex offender registry and on probation for a very long time.
But what about the comments from the judge acknowledging the privilege that this individual comes from, saying 112 days is a lot of time for someone your age who comes from some level of privilege? That is troubling to a lot of people.
And I agree, because we don't understand what the judge says. And he actually used the word privilege twice in the conversation, or maybe more, because I tried to read the colloquy that the judge made. I don't know why he said that or why he felt like he had to say that. And I can understand people feeling concerned about that. But it was a young man who had otherwise led an exemplary life and had a good family and had a good future ahead of him, and was caught up in an addiction that maybe the judge thought was help solvable, something that was treatable, and maybe a first-time offender with 112 days will teach the young man a lesson. But the privilege comment, I know I've danced around it now twice, is kind of hard to understand and really appreciate what the judge really meant by that.
KSL legal analyst Greg Skordas speaking with Debbie Dujanovic. Stay with us. We'll be back with more Midday in just 60 seconds.
If your water heater's over 10 to 15 years old, congratulations. You've beat the average.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I love hearing stories of people having water heaters that are really old and they're still doing their job. Unfortunately, most of us won't be that lucky. And when water heaters fail, it's usually in spectacularly inconvenient fashion. Whether it's an unexpected cold shower when we're already running late for work, or worse yet, coming home to a flooded basement, it's never fun. If you'd like to look into replacing your water heater before it fails, Any Hour Services is having a sale for any homeowners listening. Whether you're looking for a new tanked water heater or you want to see what upgrading to a tankless would cost, the plumbers at Any Hour Services can show you what options are available. And right now, you can save $400 on a tanked water heater or $1,200 on a tankless. If you think you might be interested, call Any Hour Services today and schedule your free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
President Trump using some of his harshest words yet against Russian President Putin after Russia launched a new round of drone strikes on Ukraine. The U.S. is currently involved in peace negotiations between Russia and Ukraine, but are things stalling? ABC News State Department reporter Shannon Kingston tells us where the peace talks stand.
So much depends on what the president actually decides to do next. He did have those uncharacteristically harsh words for Vladimir Putin over the weekend, saying that the Russian leader had gone absolutely crazy. But the president has been very hesitant to take any kind of action to back those words. He's been trying to wash his hands of the conflict, saying it's the war of Ukrainian leader Vladimir Zelensky, Putin, and even former President Biden.
Kingston continues with more on possible sanctions against Russia. President Trump saying it could be on the table.
We do know that this intelligence Ukraine has showing that Russia is preparing for an offensive. It is troubling, but it's not altogether surprising. We've seen Russian forces break past lines in eastern Ukraine, take more territory in recent weeks, and officials and analysts were expecting that Russia would attempt to use these warmer months to make more gains, to get more leverage on the negotiating table.
ABC News State Department reporter Shannon Kingston. Outdoor funding grants making quite a mark on Utah's recreation scene. More on the program and its effects in a few minutes. But first, it's emergency traffic on KSL. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Heavy delays continue on I-15 in Utah County southbound. It's all due to the vehicle fire that is still being cleared in American Fork. This is southbound I-15 as you're approaching Pioneer Crossing. So we still have right lanes and the exit ramp blocked to traffic, and we have heavy delays almost back to SR 92 Temp Highway. Again, if you can avoid this spot, you want to do so and take an alternate route. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Do you need new windows? Look, all glass pretty much looks the same to the naked eye, but if your windows aren't triple-coated, argon-filled and sealed double-pane glass, the cold is seeping in. You need to call Advanced Window Products. They use the highest quality glass and premium vinyl to create state-of-the-art windows and frames, and for 38 years, they build those frames right here in Utah. Custom crafted for Utah's climate. The best windows you can buy at prices 30 and 40% less than what the big companies charge because they cut out the middleman. They're the factory. They even give you a lifetime warranty, and right now as we head into spring, save an extra $2,500 off 10 windows or more. Custom windows that'll give your house a fresh new look and save you money on your heating and air conditioning. Advanced Windows offers 60-month 0% financing, even buy now, pay later, and an extra $2,500 off. Call for a quote, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Pantheon Clinical Research is conducting a chronic migraine clinical trial. Located just minutes from Salt Lake City with plenty of free parking, this study is open to children ages 12 to 17 who suffer from chronic migraines. To pre-qualify, your child must have 8 or more migraine attacks each month and at least 15 headache days. They should also currently be taking or have taken oral medication for migraine relief. All study-related visits, tests, and medications will be provided at no cost. Plus, reimbursement for study-related travel may also be available. As a parent, it's never easy to watch your child suffer. This is your chance to help them find relief. For more information, call Pantheon Clinical Research at 385-281-0550. That's Pantheon Clinical Research, 385-281-0550. Or visit us online at pantheonclinical.com. Again, that's 385-281-0550. Or go to pantheonclinical.com.
Market volatility isn't slowing down. If you're nearing retirement, now is not the time to wait and see. Every day of uncertainty can put your future at risk. It's time to diversify. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I want you to know you can create certainty, locking in guaranteed income for life. This means predictable, stable cash flow, even in turbulent times. You've worked too hard to leave your retirement to chance. Right now, there are options to receive up to 30% upfront or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. That's up to $30,000 upfront or up to $10,000 per year on $100,000, all guaranteed for retirement income. Don't wait. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company. Any examples provided are hypothetical. Annuities are issued with prospectus and sales brochures and should be reviewed carefully before funding as features and benefits vary. DBA in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Get set for more outdoor recreation opportunities in Utah. A record number of grants will fund more than 140 projects across the state. The Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation is infusing more than $23 million into projects. And here's something really cool. The projects are in all 29 counties. Tara McKee is the Deputy Director of Grants, and I spoke with her about the program and the kinds of projects that the grants are funding.
We have allocated about $23.2 million to support outdoor recreation infrastructure, access, and safety throughout the state. This includes some great projects. And of that, there's one new thing that was funded for the first time, and that is some park infrastructure and restoration. We call it the CPR grant, the Community Parks and Rec Grant. And of the funding that was awarded, just nearly $2.7 million of that went to parks. But it was the first time state funding was available for that. So there was a very pent-up demand. Anyway, and a lot of projects that were funded included, there was a lot of demand for bike parks. As you may know, that Utah has got the most students in high school mountain biking of anywhere in the country. And it has also these development leagues for middle school kids, kind of 7th, 8th grade as well. So there is just a lot of demand for kids to be able to learn how to mountain bike safely. So these bike parks and pump tracks provide kind of a graduated learning atmosphere. So you can start even as a little kid in many of these bike parks where there's like something for those strider bikes, you know, the kind without pedals that they just learn on as preschoolers, down through elementary school and so forth. Additionally, there's been some motorized funding with the OHV Recreation Grant, and then a federal grant, which was about $2 million awarded to 26 projects, and that's with the Recreation Trails Program for both paved and non-paved trails. But the Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant funded quite a few trails. It funded campgrounds and especially restoration of campgrounds. Some of our campgrounds are 50 years old or more, and restoration work is badly needed. And sometimes, in one case, we did fund a newer campground on some BLM land. There's just a high demand for some of these things like camping and biking and places to hike and go, parks for people across the state. And this is also historically the first time that all 29 counties were able to receive funding. So we're really proud of that and proud of a team that goes out of their way to help these applicants who may be applying for a grant for the very first time in their lives.
Mm-hmm. We really care about the outdoors here in Utah. Maybe you can just talk about the way Utahns are and the way we enjoy our outdoor space for just a minute and why this demand has been increasing.
Oh, Utahns love to get outside. We are one of the top states for outdoor recreation participation. Generally, we're in the top 10 among all 50 states. We also have a very young population, and a lot of families. And outdoor recreation is one of the inexpensive ways to have a fun family activity. It's also a way to decompress, for better mental health, that time outdoors. And I think in these times of time on screens, time, where there's so much of the artificial out there, being able to enjoy the beautiful, gorgeous places that we have here in Utah, we treasure these places. And I think that's why we feel that sense of awe and the other kind of the relief sense of awe. We can relax in the outdoors and really get away from the stresses that we encounter in our modern lives. But there are so many gorgeous places to visit across the state of Utah. And I think there's opportunities for people to get off the beaten path and find those places. And there's opportunities with this grant for us to kind of give a little bit of hardening to those spaces that receive high visitation so that they can really withstand those kinds of pressures and still stay beautiful and great for the visitors and for our own residents of the state.
Describe for us the significance of having all 29 counties now included in some of these grants.
Oh, this has been amazing. I would say this is the first time that Juab County has applied, and they are going to be building a bike park, which is really awesome. I mean, so many of our rural communities, they really want to have something for their school children to be able to enjoy and learn and take part in. We're really glad that they did an amazing grant application, and we were just so happy to fund that. But I would say, across the state, in these rural communities, there have been a lot of needs for help with their park budgets. They usually don't take in enough taxes. Sometimes they are, so much of it is federally owned, so they don't have enough in property taxes to help fund this. And this community parks and recreation grant was really able to come in and fund some great projects in these rural communities where they have one park perhaps, or they'd like to have a second park. But it really is an opportunity for them to have this investment from the state to really improve the quality of life for their residents. These are community gathering spaces, places where kids learn outdoor recreation, sports and activities and skills, have fun family picnics. It's just such an opportunity to help these rural communities to get that. And then the other thing with these rural community opportunities is sometimes they are funding new trails and some of these other places to attract visitors to their communities. And of course, these are people who come in, spend money, pay taxes on that money, and help this community to thrive in some way.
Any final thoughts for us before we let you go?
I would say to get out there and enjoy the outdoors this summer. There's so many great places to go and to discover, places that you haven't been before. And then reach out to us at the Division of Outdoor Recreation and let us know what you would like to see in your community. We have a great team that can help with everything from the planning stage all the way to the awarding of the grant money. I'd like to be here to help everybody in this state to get those opportunities to have outdoor recreation opportunities close to them.
And Tara McKee is the Deputy of Grants for the Utah Division of Outdoor Recreation. And again, the division funding more than 140 projects across the state, more than $23 million worth of projects happening across the state of Utah. It's 2:30 midday at KSL News Radio. Hello, I'm Maria Shilaos. Some of the stories we are watching this hour. UHP warning drivers to keep their cars in tip-top shape this summer season. New health research saying it's time to put down the sugary drinks. And KSL traffic, Ricky.
2 right lanes still blocked in Lehigh. This is due to a vehicle fire southbound I-15 just as you're approaching Pioneer Crossing in American Fork. And with those lanes blocked, we still have heavy delays almost back to SR 92. Maria?
Thanks, Ricky. KSL's top local stories in 1 minute. First, the latest from ABC News.
ABC News, I'm Chuck Severson. Major U.S. stock indexes closing hundreds of points higher. Consumer confidence jumped for the first time in 5 months, says a Conference Board survey. Wall Street also reacting to President Trump delaying tariffs on European imports to July. ABC's Karen Travers at the White House.
President making it very clear if there's no deal by then, that tariff threat of 50% is still very much on the table.
At the sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs in New York, jurors have been hearing from a former assistant of Combs, Capricorn Clark, who says she was forced at gunpoint to help Combs in acts of violence against ex-girlfriend Cassie Ventura's boyfriend. In a reversal from what he said at his Senate confirmation hearing, Health Secretary RFK Jr. removed COVID vaccines from recommended shots for healthy children and pregnant women. Despite what aid groups say is chaos, operations getting food to people in Gaza have succeeded, says State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce. This is ABC News.
KSL's top local story. Utah has the worst nursing shortage in the country, according to a new study. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
The study done by a law firm in Florida shows Utah has the highest number of patients and the lowest number of nurses in the nation. Utah Tech Nursing Department Chair Dr. Judy A. Scott says there are many reasons why Utah and the country as a whole is facing a nursing shortage. Dr. Scott says there was already a shortage when COVID hit, but during the pandemic, many nurses decided to retire and others decided to change jobs. She says in Utah specifically, the pay scale is not enough to keep students in the state.
A 64-year-old hiker is recovering after falling 20 feet from a waterfall in Adams Canyon. Other hikers nearby were able to help keep him stable until the paramedics arrived. The man was airlifted to a parking lot and then taken to the hospital by ambulance. Complaints and allegations against teachers in Utah have spiked over the past few years, and the commission that deals with those complaints wants more investigators. Ben Rasmussen with the Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission told the Education Interim Committee the biggest increase in complaints includes teachers contacting students directly through texting or other means.
Teachers aren't maintaining appropriate boundaries with students in those cases. You combine that with the sexual misconduct cases, that's probably about 40% of the UPAC cases, and they're of kind of the greatest concern.
He says their caseload has nearly tripled since he started the job in 2015. Other local stories KSL is following. It could soon be a lot easier to call for help in Logan Canyon. Much of the canyon is out of cell phone range for drivers, but the short-term pain of construction in the area could make improvements to coverage long-term. UDOT says a new fiber line will eventually connect Logan to Garden City. The agency will also have programmable signs that can change remotely to warn of hazards ahead. Taking a look at your money at this moment at the close, the Dow up 740 points, sitting at 42,343. S&P 500 up by 118, and the NASDAQ up 462 points. Traffic and weather together. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Here's Ricky Meese with the emergency traffic situation.
That's right. Emergency traffic continues in Utah County due to this vehicle fire southbound I-15. It was a garbage truck that was in flames and black smoke, and even though that's been doused for a while, they've not been able to clear it from the freeway, and that means southbound I-15 just before Pioneer Crossing still has a couple of right lanes blocked, but they have opened up the exit ramp at Pioneer Crossing American Fork. However, the delays are still really solid and almost back to SR 92 Temp Highway. The Good Feet store, supporting you with comfort no matter what the day brings. Find the location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Those few clouds near the mountains could mean a slight chance of showers near those mountain locations. A high today of 86, up to 87 tomorrow. Then we're headed toward the 90s for the rest of the week. 83 degrees at the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Wright. For years now, I've been telling you about Connecticut soft water systems that use 2/3 less salt than the others. But I've never told you exactly how they do that. Well, there are several ways, so consider this as part one in a series. Most of the softeners out there use a finicky, hard-to-adjust computer to guesstimate when to cycle, and it errs on the side of cycling too often, which means it'll burn through way too much salt way too soon. Connecticut is different. It has an all-mechanical system that measures the water precisely. No computer, no guesstimating, so it cycles only when needed. The result? Connecticut delivers perfectly soft water 24/7 using minimal salt. So why not save your lower back from carrying the 3 bags of salt when all you need is 1? Call Northern Utah's authorized Connecticut dealer, Connecticut Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake. Call them now, 801-576-8600, or log on to softwaterutah.com and tell them Doug sent you.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
You are listening to Midday with Maria Shilaos. A scam about unpaid toll fines is really ramping up. Chances are you've already been contacted by the scammers. UDOT's John Gleason says do not respond to the texts.
It is absolutely 100% a fraud. If you're an Express Pass holder, we have a website and they've already established a link with us. This is not anything that you need to concern yourself with. Block, delete, and report these text messages that are coming in. UDOT will never approach people asking for money in this way, and just assume that anything that comes to you in this fashion, a phone call, a text message asking for money, or for you to settle up an account, that's a fraud.
Gleason spoke with KSL News Radio's Michelle Rowe. He says there have already been many Utahns who have fallen victim to this scam.
Yeah, this scam first gained notoriety a couple of months ago, but it's really ramped up in the intensity and the threatening nature, and just the sheer volume of the people that it's reaching right now. All across the state, we're getting phone calls, emails, personal visits from people that have received these text messages or phone calls asking for them to settle up a toll. A toll fine that has been issued, that there's just no validity to it at all. We would never approach people in this manner, and it's just not how we do business. We don't send text messages. We don't call people harassing them for money and threatening them with their registration and their driver's license. Unfortunately, some of the text messages and the phone calls have been convincing to people, and they've fallen for this scam, and they've given personal information, their bank account information, PINs, and we had one gentleman that had called in and had actually entered his credit card. When that one didn't take, he entered 2 additional credit card numbers, and so, it's terrible to see people being preyed on like this.
He says while both federal and state officials are working to stop these scams, it's a difficult endeavor.
I know our folks are working with the national authorities, but these scammers are very hard to identify and almost impossible to stop. So it's really up to each and every one of us to look at these text messages and phone calls with a discerning mindset, and just understand that if it sounds like it's a little fishy or if it's a little out there, it probably is. Assume it's a scam unless you can absolutely verify it. But I don't even want to tell people to try to verify it. If you're getting a text message right now from somebody claiming to be UDOT, it is absolutely 100% a scam. Delete it, block the person, and report it.
Gleason says immediately report it to the Internet Crime Complaint Center. In other car-related news, a reminder from the Utah Highway Patrol that just because annual car safety inspections aren't a thing anymore, thanks to the legislature, it doesn't mean that you are off the hook for not following safety rules.
People have made that just thought now that no more safety inspections need to happen, so I can do whatever I want with my vehicle. But that's not true. We need to make sure that our vehicles maintain a good working order. Otherwise, we'll have crashes that could just because people aren't maintaining what they need to. A lot of times we see crashes out there on the roadway and we can point right to it. It's just because they have bald tires or don't have adequate traction on their tires to be able to maintain control in the snow and the ice.
Utah Highway Patrol Lieutenant Cameron Roden spoke with KSL News Radio's Don Brinkerhoff about this misconception.
People think that because we don't have to have our vehicles inspected as often that all of those laws have gone away, but that's not true. All the laws that safety inspection was associated with safety inspection are still laws here in Utah. It's just that you don't actually have to have your vehicle inspected. So as far as a cracked windshield or tire violations or all these other things that you had to go have your vehicle inspected for, those are laws that are still in place. And now it's up to law enforcement to go out and enforce those laws because people aren't made to fix those things in those inspections. So now it's even more important for law enforcement to go out and make sure that our vehicles aren't having issues out there on the roadway. And so that's why law enforcement will be making those stops.
Stay with us. Midday with Maria Shilaos continues in just 60 seconds with a look at summer jobs for your kids.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Teenagers shouldn't have a hard time finding something to keep them busy this summer. Across the U.S., more than 400,000 jobs are up for grabs this year. Troy Lamb with the Department of Workforce Services tells KSL News Radio's Tammy Kikuchi there's a huge variety of jobs to choose from.
For teens anyway, between, I would say, from 14 to 18 at least anyway, those that might still be in high school or at least for the summertime, they could be looking at job openings such as summer camp counselors or working with any programs for those types of summer jobs for counselors, fast food, restaurant type of work, Could vary anywhere from bussers to hosts to dishwashers, prep cooks, those types of things. In the retail space, you've got cashiers, customer service, stocking and supplies, those types of jobs, maintenance, cleaning jobs, recreation jobs like working for the rec centers, like your city, check with your city rec centers to see. Oftentimes they need, again, cashiers, lifeguards, keep cleaning and maintenance type of work, sometimes even doing like referee type of jobs. So a lot of great variety of jobs for the summer.
And he says these jobs aren't just about earning some extra cash.
This really helps them to get some good experience to decide what they want to do for work, maybe long term, but definitely for right now helps them to build their application and resume skills and experience. And in fact, on that end, they could do other types of things like internships through their connections, doing some networking. 80% of jobs are actually found through networking. So doing an internship, maybe talking to family, friends, neighbors, relatives, people that they know. Maybe they could do an internship for the summer, could be paid or unpaid. There's also job shadowing, and the job shadow is a little different. An internship could be something part-time, maybe for the summer. A job shadow would be perhaps where they can go out and meet with an employer, meet with someone that would be able to maybe do a job shadow for maybe an hour of time. Maybe show them what a job looks like, show them what types of jobs exist within their organization, and give them an idea of what direction they might want to go for jobs.
Lamb says there are rules employers need to think about when hiring teens. First, teens must be at least 14.
There's only so many hours per day and so many hours like after school, not working past a certain time in the evening time. For the summertime, however, there's usually a little more leniency. When it's during school year, during the school hours, they are not allowed to work during school hours, but then after school, they can generally work until the evening time and up to a certain amount of hours in the evening, if that makes any sense. They can't work till midnight or 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, those types of things if they're under 16. 16 and over, it seems like that there's a little more leniency. They can work till a little later in the evening, up until 11 or midnight or something like that. And then, of course, when you're 18 and older, it's pretty much as an adult. If you can work graveyard, you can work a graveyard job at that point.
He also says there are some red flags when it comes to applying for a job. If an employer is asking for money, beware.
If you are applying for a job and that job is asking for you to pay money to apply or to pay any money to register with them or to buy equipment or anything like that, you definitely want to maybe stay away from those opportunities because they're just out for taking your money and costing you time and money. Be aware of scams such as maybe even like jobs where they want to send you money and they want to put it into your bank account, and then they want you to pay a portion of that money back to them, or maybe go and buy goods and services with that money, and then they want you to refund them back the difference of that money because of maybe they sent you money that was in addition to what they needed to send you, and so they're having you buy things and then send them back money as a refund of the money that was sent to you. Those types of situations are really quite not trusting. They're scam because they're trying to get you to give them your account information, or they're trying to get you to send them money back, and in that way they're actually just taking all the money that they sent you. Those types of things, or even sometimes taking more money than they agreed to. So definitely stay away from those types of opportunities, I would say. There's enough jobs out there for our teens especially that I think that they can stay away from jobs that require any of those types of situations. And like I say, the best way to find good jobs and trustworthy jobs are networking and talking to people that you know that are trusting, that can help you lead you to a good opportunity.
Lamb says there are 25,000 jobs available in Utah, including permanent jobs for graduates that are easily searchable on the department's website. Put down the Dr. Pepper, the Coca-Cola, and the Mountain Dew, or your favorite energy drink. The latest research from BYU on sugary drinks coming up. But first, it's emergency traffic on KSL News Radio. It's brought to you by Mountain America's Homegrown Home Loans. Ricky?
Still seeing heavy delays southbound I-15 that start as you're approaching 2100 North Lehigh. You don't see better speeds until you're well into American Fork. However, crews have made progress on cleaning up this earlier vehicle fire southbound I-15 approaching the Pioneer Crossing off-ramp in American Fork. We still have that right lane blocked to traffic. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
Summer is almost here. It's time to get in the best shape of your life with Soda Weight Loss.
Hey there. You're looking good. My name is Corey Sulian. My wife and I began our Soda weight loss journey on January 20th of this year. We have seen some amazing results. I have lost 59.4 pounds. My wife lost 30.3 pounds, and we feel great.
It's time to spring into summer with Soda Weight Loss, because right now you'll get our biggest discount of the year.
Every single day, Soda Weight Loss is helping people let go of the weight without drugs, without hunger, and the weight stays off.
I love Soda Weight Loss. Thank you for helping to change our lives. I highly recommend it for anybody who wants to lose weight or get healthy.
Get started now at sodaweightloss.com. That's SOTA weightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness, and Utah isn't immune.
With nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or some other form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe. KSL has teamed with 988 Utah, the free suicide and crisis lifeline, to bring you hope and help you thrive.
If you or a loved one is experiencing a mental health crisis, call or text 988.
Because a healthy mind matters.
This is Jill Schlesinger. May is Military Appreciation Month, and I know how much I appreciate the military. I married into a military family. I hear from so many members of the military, and Navy Federal Credit Union wants us to celebrate those who go above and beyond for us every day. If you're active duty, a veteran, or part of a military family, you're eligible to join. At Navy Federal Credit Union, the members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org/celebrate. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
I'm Sia, and I support Humane World for Animals. Together, we have created a new version of Peter Gabriel's beautiful song, Salisbury Hill, to celebrate Humane World for Animals and everything they do. Enjoy the song and join us in helping Humane World for Animals end animal cruelty.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program in the John M. Huntsman School of Business at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. Why do we fear change perhaps more than anything in our lives? Uncertainty and the unknown can trigger our frontal brains to fight or flight, and these days it's more fight than it is flight. But change is always part of the human condition, and even the best changes like a dream job or a marriage can bring new difficulties. One thing that's always true about change is that it looks different in retrospect. The worst thing that ever happened in my career turned out to be the best thing. When people ask me about how to live with organizational change, my advice almost always is lean in. Instead of resisting, try supporting and then redirecting. Learn more about dealing with change in an MBA program from Utah State. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
This is Midday with Maria Shilaos. Before you make that soda run this afternoon, you may want to consider making it sugar-free. New research out of BYU suggests drinking your sugar increases your risk for diabetes. BYU nutritional science professor and lead author of the study, Karen Delacorte, joined me earlier to tell us more about what she learned.
So we conducted a large and comprehensive meta-analysis, and we set out to answer whether all dietary sugar sources are equally harmful. Sugar is often viewed very negatively as a nutritional villain in the public's view. And what we found is that the type and source of sugar may matter far more than previously thought. Sugar is often just lumped together and treated uniformly as if it consistently is linked to negative metabolic health. But what we found was that sugar consumed through beverages like soda or even fruit juice was consistently linked to a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Whereas, interestingly, because we looked at different sources and categories for sugar, we found that moderate amounts of sugars found in foods, sucrose and total sugar foods added to other, or sugars added to other foods, were found to be beneficially associated with type 2 diabetes. So it really depends on the context in which these sugars are consumed.
So when we talk sugar in our liquid drinks, are we also talking about the sugars that we consider to be 0 calorie?
No, and we did not look at artificial sweetened sugars. We looked specifically at sugar-containing beverages.
Mm-hmm. What do you hope people take away from your research?
It's important to understand that sugar is really a nuanced subject. It's important to look at the source and form. They matter. And so there's not this focus on added sugar reduction might miss the bigger picture. And it's important to avoid liquid sources of sugars and try to cut back on that. They have a unique harmful metabolic impact. They can overwhelm the liver, which is the primary site of the breakdown of fructose, and uniquely increase insulin resistance. Whereas other dietary sugars, when consumed together with whole fruits, dairy products, whole grains, they elicit a slower blood glucose response. There's accompanying fiber, fats, or proteins, and they are not adversely associated with increased type 2 diabetes risk. And so the oversimplification that sugar, regardless of its source and form, is uniformly and consistently harmful is just not accurate.
BYU nutritional science professor Karen Delacorte. In other news, thousands watched as thrill seekers got their fill over the weekend at one of Britain's zaniest sports contests. Daredevils attempted to catch a 7-pound wheel of double Gloucester cheese speeding down a steep hill at around 70 miles per hour. So what was their strategy? Here's what they told the folks from Urban Pictures.
Run. Everyone's on their bum at first. I've watched all the videos. Everyone's on their bum and they're so scared at the top. That's where they go wrong. Yes, that is your moment to strike there and then. At the right top where everyone's at the most scared. That's when you need to strike. So, hey, distance is key.
I just want to roll down and hopefully not break anything. Yeah.
Hey, I want to be early, I want to get down, and I want to be fast this year.
Have you done any training in the last year?
I tried to roll, but I think it will be hard to try to actually roll yourself if you go down.
Last year I did the roll.
Oh, interesting. Where did you come and what have you learned?
Oh, dead last. Stay on your feet. If you fall, tuck and roll.
Try to imagine it. Runners plunge and roll down a 200-yard, perilously steep pitch in pursuit of this speeding wheel of cheese. Ava Sender-Logan from London won the women's race after somersaulting and rolling at least a dozen times as she clutched her head.
I can't believe it. It felt quite long, like I hit my head and then I was like, oh, here we go. But I'm down, it's what matters, it's fine.
And you got the cheese, that's all that matters.
Back there I blanked it, it just felt like a lot of impact, a lot of...
Gravity and acceleration combined to leave few runners on their feet, leading to some epic wipeouts that can result in twisted ankles, broken collarbones, and concussions. The men's winner, a German YouTuber, tripped, stumbled, and tumbled his way to victory for a second year running.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, oh, I can't believe it. I really can't. It's just amazing.
Tom Kopke of Munich was the first to reach the bottom of the hill behind the cheese, holding the cheese high above his head at the finish line. Now, he says all the people at the top were going to try to steal that title from him, but he says he risked his life for the win. Now, the contest's origins are largely unknown, but the tradition has been going for over 150 years, and man, you really have to see this.
Do they chase the cheese like waving bread? I mean,
kind of. But it's really strange because I saw video of the hill before the guys started running down it, and it doesn't look that bad. But But when you're watching from the bottom, the minute they start running, they just do somersaults all the way down the hill. And you heard that women's winner, like she hit her head several times. Because imagine, rolling down a hill, even though it's kind of grassy, it's got tons of rocks and
It feels like this is the kind of thing that if you do win it, it ends up on your headstone someday.
There were so many people that were injured, and they take them behind these like draped tents and like.
Nobody needs to know what happens back there.
You don't want to know what happens back there, but it wasn't pretty. Jeff Kaplan's, I want to say your Minute of News every time I do this.
It's coming up.
Jeff Kaplan and his Minute of News coming up next. Have a great afternoon.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Good afternoon, 3 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Jeff Kaplan. We're at 83 degrees, KSL's top story. We're learning more about a man shot and killed overnight by Salt Lake City police. The gunfire erupted in Sugar House near 11th East and Hudson Avenue. We have two reports. First, joining us live, KSL News Radio's Eric Cabrera. Eric?
Jeff, police say the woman called 911 to report her estranged husband was breaking in and that he'd threatened to kill her before. She also reported smelling gasoline. They responded and shots were fired, though we're not sure yet the exact sequence of events. What we do know is that family and friends have identified the man shot and killed by police as Christian Allen. And they also tell us he went to jail 15 years ago for trying to light his wife and kids on fire. Neighbor Merle French says the couple reconciled and had been living in the home for the last 3 or 4 years.
Apparently he may have gone off of his meds, and there was a recent altercation again, and he moved out.
Police say Allen's estranged wife had recently filed a restraining order. Other family and friends tell us she and her children are staying with family. Live, Eric Cabrera, KSL News Radio.
People who live near the scene of the shooting are having a hard time wrapping their heads around what happened.
I wasn't expecting it to happen here. It's pretty calm.
It's a little unsettling.
Neighbors say this little cul-de-sac on the border of Salt Lake and Mill Creek is normally calm and quiet, but just after midnight it became the scene of a deadly shooting. Sydney Zavo says she was woken up to her dog barking.
And I looked for a while and I saw a bunch of police men and women walking back and forth, and I was like, this is really strange, and I was like, well, maybe I'm hearing things and I don't know, and I could have sworn I heard a gunshot.
Malia Brumble says it's scary this happened on her street, but she says she still feels safe and is glad it's over.
I'm glad that law enforcement was able to kind of take a handle of the situation. Obviously it's sad what has happened, and I hope the woman and her family are okay, because that's really a traumatic situation.
Adam Small, KSL News Radio.
A man accused of leaving suspicious packages at local churches is now facing charges he made threats against Presidents Trump and Biden. According to charging documents, James Totten is accused of leaving packages that were marked with the words FBI and ISIS at area churches earlier this year. The packages were addressed to both presidents. Bomb squads detonated the packages and connected them to Totten. Our top national story this hour, President Trump is ratcheting up the pressure on Harvard University.
Just days after a federal judge blocked the Trump administration's ban on international students at Harvard, the president is now threatening to take away $3 billion in grants. He says he wants to redirect this money to trade schools, though he hasn't explained exactly how that would work.
ABC News White House correspondent Mary Bruce. Meantime, a hearing on the Trump administration ban against international students at Harvard will take place in federal court on Thursday. Americans once again have some faith in the economy. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
The Conference Board's Consumer Confidence Index measures present attitudes and future expectations. After plummeting to a 13-year low in April, the May number still reflects pessimism, but just not as much pessimism. Analysts say consumers are feeling at least slightly better about business conditions and their own future income prospects.
Till now, consumer confidence had been falling for 5 straight months. The stock market loved the president's new take on tariffs against the European Union today. After threatening a 50% tariff, he postponed them by 5 weeks in hopes of cutting a deal with Europe. On that news, the stock market was up about 2% today. France has made a key step toward legalizing assisted dying. A lower house of parliament adopted a bill that would allow adults with incurable illness to take lethal medication. That bill now heads to the French Senate. Before you make that soda run this afternoon, you might want to think again. New research out of BYU suggests drinking your sugar increases your risk of diabetes.
What we found was that sugar consumed through beverages like soda or even fruit juice was consistently linked to a higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
That's Karen Delacourt, lead author of the BYU study on sugar's dangers. It says that the risk is increased by 25% with liquid sugar. The difference may be linked to how liquid and solid foods are absorbed into the body. The authors didn't include sugar-free drinks like Diet Coke in their research, as you heave a sigh of relief. KSL News Time 3:05. KSL Sports. 4 members of the Utah Mammoth are sporting gold medals around their necks today. For the first time in 90-odd years, Team USA won the World Hockey Championship over the weekend. Team USA beat Switzerland in overtime and get to come home with the bling. KSL News Time 3:05. Ricky Meese is here. First look traffic. So, are we looking at the tail end of the weekend hangover?
No, I don't think so. It's looking like a typical Monday commute on your Salt Lake County freeways. But we're still dealing with mopping up a vehicle fire in Utah County, southbound I-15 at Pioneer Crossing, American Fork, and we have residual delays through Lehigh. Ricky Meese in the KSL Traffic Center.
We will now clarify. It is Tuesday, right, Ricky?
It is. It's Tuesday, not Monday.
Just want to make
sure. Sorry about that. I'm still kind of...
I understand completely, believe
Good
me.
catch.
KSL News Time 3:06. Stay here. My Minute of News on the way next.
The most important part of all our news stories at KSL are the people involved. Introducing an expanded new news show. Listen to Midday with Maria Shilaos. Listen in your car between noon and 3 on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet store.
Do you know how to tell if a clogged drain is something to worry about or not? What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and I understand it's annoying and inconvenient, but sometimes a clogged drain can be a sign there's a more serious issue with your sewer main line. If the drains in the lowest level of your home aren't draining, or you flush a toilet and it comes up somewhere else like a shower or a floor drain, I'm urging you to look at this as more than just an